Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ivan, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the new Sex and the City spinoff on Hbomax. So if you're into Sex and the City, stay tuned for this video because I have all the details. Spoiler alert, there will be spoilers in this video because I'm gonna spill it all. I'm gonna spoil the whole thing. I am so excited. Let's get into it. And just like that has premiered. I have all the feelings. I'm so emotional. I am so excited for the rest of this season. I cannot wait to see what the writers, the designers, and of course, all of the actors and actresses are going to be bringing this season because the first two episodes were a lot to unpack. I thought that the first two episodes were fabulous. I thought they were written really well. I just loved everything about it. It really felt like Sex and the City. It really feels like the show is picking up where it needs to pick up. Today, post-COVID. So, you know, it's make-believe, it's fantasy. I come from a generation where I didn't necessarily watch Sex and the City while it was airing. I ended up watching a lot of reruns on E, like a lot of us. They used to always play Sex and the City on E. I've always been a big fan of the show. Maybe not when it first came out, but throughout the years, as I got older, I definitely got invested in the show. I definitely became a fan of the show. I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably are a Sex and the City fan. And if you're not and you're watching this video, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoy my commentary and I hope you subscribe. So I'm a fan of the series. I'm a fan of both movies. I do prefer part 1 over part 2 a lot more, even though Abu Dhabi was a lot of fun. The first 2 episodes were everything and more, but they also were heartbreaking. I had a whole breakdown. I cried twice. Like, in my feelings, I got really, really emotional. I think that these actors are great. They're so talented. They know these characters. They know these roles. The roles and the characters feel really, really familiar. The writing is good. It feels like Sex and the City. It sounds like Sex and the City. The production, the editing feels like Sex and the City. All the different cuts and things like that. It's very, very much a spin-off of Sex and the City. It's a continuation. It's giving you a look into the lives of these women and all of these different characters now older in their 50s. And it is just as entertaining as when they were in their late 30s, mid-30s, and 40s. If you are a fan of the Sex and the City franchise, you will love this show. It brings everything from the show and the movies full circle, including the absence of Samantha Jones. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't know how I was gonna feel with Samantha Jones not being on this show. Samantha Jones is like sex. She brought a lot of sex to the city. She was just such a great character. Kim Cattrall is so talented and so beautiful and wonderful to look at on screen. I love her. I live for her. And you know, I have to say I was really disappointed and sad that she wasn't going to be returning, but you know, after hearing her out and reading some interview clips from her, you know, I get it. You don't want to be somewhere where you're unhappy. Totally get it. I do hope though, however, that maybe in the future, with some time and some healing, maybe she will return, maybe Kim will return, maybe Samantha Jones will return, because the door is definitely open for her to return. And Samantha Jones not being on the show, she still made me cry. One of the reasons I cried in the show, watching the show this morning, was because of Samantha. I know that a lot of us tuned in and were like, all right, what's going on with Samantha? How are you guys going to explain Samantha's absence? Is she back in California? Like, what is going on? Did she die? Like, what is going on? The rundown is that Samantha and Carrie had a fallout because, if you guys remember, she was her publicist at one point. Samantha and Carrie have a fallout because Carrie decides that she no longer needs Samantha to be her publicist. So she essentially fires her, essentially says, hey, the book business, the book deals are not the same, media is not the same. I kind of really don't need you as my publicist right now. Well, that didn't sit well with Samantha, and Samantha got really upset and basically stopped talking to her and stopped talking to the rest of the girls as well. Samantha feels like Carrie was looking at her like a bill of some sort. So yeah, that to me was really real. I know that it sometimes can be a little tricky mixing business with pleasure, business with friends, business with family. That can get a little tricky sometimes. At the end of the day, things happen between friendships, things happen in family. So she's like, hey, I'm going to Europe and I'm done with New York for right now. I'm gonna go over to Europe. So that is how they kind of explain the whole Samantha not being on the show. I really think that the show does a really good job at like being really with the times and being really modern. For example, Carrie in the 90s and the early 2000s used to be an editor on a news column, right? Then after that, she evolved and got deals and started doing book deals. Nowadays, 2021, going into 2022 kind of a thing, what is all of the rage in media? Instagram, TikTok, podcast. So it was so fitting and perfect that Carrie would be on a podcast. Runner of the podcast is non-binary queer person who loves Carrie. And the show's a little bit raunchy in a way. They're, you know, very comedic, very witty with it. And it's really funny because Carrie's really shy. Carrie's like all introverted and she's like all awkward. But the thing is that while Carrie has always talked about romantic relationships and yes, sex and dating, Carrie's never really been one to get into like graphic detail. And in this podcast, they do get a little bit into details. They talk a lot about, well, I'm not gonna say what they talk about because I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. They're a little bit explicit and it kind of makes Carrie uncomfortable for a little bit, but then she snaps out of it and, you know, she throws a little joke. And they have a moment later where the host of the podcast show is like, girl, you're gonna have to step up. And I lost it because it was so funny. I lost it. It's so good. And I'm really excited to see where Carrie goes on this podcast journey. Like, Carrie and Big are also still together. You see the love, you see their relationship where they're at now. Carrie and Big have always had a lot of banter back and forth. They've always made like little bitty jokes to each other, and they still do that. I love seeing them together on screen again. Another really cool way that the show really keeps Carrie's character really up to date is using social media. She's never been like too tech savvy. To see her now using Instagram, like filming people, and then they ask like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, it's kind of become like my thing. I just shoot people's fashion that I randomly see and I posted. Let's get into Charlotte. Charlotte is a whole mom in this show. Lily is all grown up and she's also a pianist and she's getting ready to go to this recital. Charlotte and Harry were gonna have a baby as well in the last movie, and the baby is here. They are a trip. What I really liked about the whole Charlotte arc right now is that you're really getting to see her raising the kids, and the kids are teenagers. So you already know how teenagers get. Like, we're getting a sense of self-identity and we just want to like go do our own thing. Miranda. Now Miranda's arc really took me out. Again, continuing on with the show being really with the time. So Miranda wants to make a change. Miranda wants to show up. Miranda wants to be an activist, and she said, hey, I'm gonna quit corporate law. I've been doing this for a while. I'm quitting corporate law and I'm going back to school because I want to go out and help people. I want to be more of an activist. I wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful, something with a little bit more purpose. And she said like, hey, like wearing a pink hat, Women's March is great and all, but it's not enough. Like, I need to actually do more. She enrolls back in school, right, to get her master's. She's like all nervous about going back to school. It's the first day of her master's class. She's on her way to class, and on the way to campus, she decides, hey, I'm gonna stop at a bar. The bartender is literally like, lady, we don't open till 11. And she's like, I'll wait. But it's because she was nervous. So nervous to go back to school. The scene where, it's one of my favorite scenes, the scene where Miranda walks into the class. It was very messy. It's a very messy scene. It was cringe. It was really cringe. Extremely realistic because there are a lot of people out here who want to make a change and who want to help others, and they just don't know how. And they need to be educated. And sometimes in order to be educated, you can't just do it all on your own. Give you certain perspective about things, especially when it's revolving around sex, race, and orientation. Like, you're gonna need a little guidance. Like, yeah, you can go and do all the research. There's just nothing, in my opinion, like that one-on-one connection when it comes to certain topics. I'm really excited to see where her character is gonna go. What ends up happening in the episode is that Lily, Charlotte's daughter, is going to be having a recital. Charlotte really wants to make it perfect. She wants all the girls to come. Carrie's like, oh, I really can't. I have plans. Me and Big are going away for the weekend. And Charlotte really insists, like, come on, like, please, it's really important, Carrie. Carrie decides to rearrange her schedule with Big. I don't have a problem. Yeah, we can go to the Hamptons afterwards, but I'm not gonna go to the recital. I'm gonna like stay home and, you know, I'm gonna work on my Peloton bike. Hey, I'll touch base with you after the recital. Carrie tells them, if you're up for it, then maybe we can go to the Hamptons tonight. So Carrie goes to the recital. She meets everybody else there. Lily is killing it. She's like going crazy on the piano. On the other hand, Big John is back at the penthouse on the Peloton working out. You see him getting more and more intense with the workout. So he ends up finishing and he ends up texting Carrie like, hey, let's go tonight. Once you get home, let's go. And it looks like he's about to go hop in the shower. And then this is just where the whole show just took me out. Major spoilers, y'all. Like, I'm about to drop some bombs over here right now. You see him walk into the shower and you can see something's wrong. Like, you can really, really tell that there's something wrong. And I'm like, is his chest hurting? I'm like, is he having a stroke? Is he having a heart attack? Something's wrong with Big. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna totally slip in the shower. He ends up like grabbing his chest, falling down. Phone drops into the water. He has the Apple Watch on. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna get electrocuted in the shower. I'm like, no, this is not. There's gonna be a silver lining to this. Carrie comes home and finds Big in the shower and he's just like looking at her like emotionless, and she runs over to him and, you know, she holds him, and just like that, Big died. I broke down in tears at the whole thing because I was like, wait a minute, like, what do you mean? Like, how did we get here? Like, how? Carrie and Big gave some great performances. It was really sad. It was really unexpected. Big is now gone. Miranda comes over. You see Big's body be taken out. Carrie is kind of like ghost face, pale, not too much emotion. Like, you can tell she's visibly upset. She was in a way stone cold to me. I was expecting a little more hysteria. I was expecting a little more crying. I was expecting a lot more initially. I was like, all right, he just died. What is going on? But then you start like seeing what's going on. This woman is in shock. Carrie was in complete, total shock that she held Big in her arms as he died. The love of her life. The love of her life. Think about all and everything that they've been through together. Man, now I understand. You cannot process that in like right there in the moment. Girl, so good. Go to this funeral home and she's like, this is not it. This is not John. This is not Big. She would not want to have a ceremony here. So finally, Carrie does find a venue. She decides that she doesn't want any flowers. She said, no flowers. It's not Big. No flowers. She walks in to where the casket is. The venue was very plain and clean. A whole minimalistic funeral. It was beautiful. And then there's the casket, and then there's just like a bunch of flowers, like this huge flower arrangement, this huge bed of flowers on the casket, and they're all like white and just stunning, just beautiful. And then with everything else being so simple and clean, and then the casket just being like, boom, the casket felt big. Now Carrie's flipping out. She's like, I said no flowers. Like, why are there flowers here? People who plan a funeral come up to her and they're like, listen, I know you said that you didn't want any flowers, but they came in and we just wanted to show them off to you, and we wanted you to make the last decision. We wanted you to at least see the flowers. And then she finds out who they're from, and I knew who they were from. Samantha Jones. Of course, Samantha. Despite Samantha not speaking to Carrie, Miranda, or Charlotte, she sends this beautiful arrangement of flowers that covers the whole casket, and Carrie decides to leave it. Whole heartbreak for me. I get really emotional when it comes to deaths and funeral. I know that these are just fictional characters, but there are characters that, you know, we have grown to love and, you know, see developed. And I'm invested in this show. I'm invested in the series. I'm invested in, you know, Carrie and Big and all of them. So for Samantha not to be there, but to still have the essence of Samantha Jones still be there was just really beautiful and lovely. And Carrie actually allowed the flowers to stay in the casket. Oh, that scene just broke my heart. Emotional, I was sad. Yeah, I was crying, I was blubbering. I was here having pancakes, crying. You know, just the thought of the idea of them not being friends anymore. I think a lot of us can relate to loss of friendships and endings of friendship. When you lose a friend for whatever reason, it's never fun. It still hurts. A friend is still a friend in times of death. Even when friendships get a little messy, you know, death does have the tendency of bringing a lot of us together. Just the fact that he passed away, the fact that there was a funeral scene, the fact that Carrie had to plan his funeral scene, the whole thing just really was heavy on me. And the whole time Carrie's planning the funeral, she's still calm and collected. Like, she's just kind of like poker face. She's just getting things done. And I was just waiting. I was like, when am I gonna see it? When is she gonna like fully crack? Like, when is it gonna really hit her? What's happening is that Charlotte starts getting really emotional and starts apologizing to Carrie because she feels like, hey, had I not told you to come see Lily's recital with him, you guys would have gone away that night and you would have been there with him at least. Carrie's like, girl, don't make this about you. She's like, you're really emotional and like, it's just a lot for me to process, and that's why I'm trying to get a little bit of space from you right now. It's just not about you. And then finally, Carrie cracks for a second and she said, you know, I should have gone. We should have gone away like I wanted to. And she screams it. And I felt that when Carrie said, like, I wanted to, I should have done what I wanted to do. I really felt that because I am all about that these days. These days, I am all about encouraging people, myself, and all of my friends and family, all of you guys out there as well, to do what makes you happy. Go to the places that make you happy. Be with the people that make you happy. Do the things that make you happy. As long as you're not hurting anybody, do what's best for you. She knew what she wanted to do. She didn't want to go to the recital. She wanted to be with Big. She wanted to go away. When she told Charlotte I should have gone like I wanted to, and she screams it out and the neighbor comes out, I was like, oh my God, I feel that. I know what it's like to do things for other people just to make them happy at, you know, the expense of myself, at the expense of my happiness. I no longer am that person. I no longer do those things because it's not fulfilling and it's not worth it. And yeah, that's pretty much the rundown of the first 2 episodes. Samantha is overseas, not speaking with Carrie nor the girls. Carrie's not working on a podcast. Charlotte is a mother of 2. She's also still married to Harry. Miranda is now back in school, still with Steve. But overall, I really have to say that this show is very well done. I also want to say I was a little like, there's no Patricia Field? Like, I was like, wait a minute, who's doing the fashion? The fashion is good. I do remember seeing a couple of pictures over the summer where I was like, oh, this is not feeling real Sex and the City to me. I feel like once the cinematography's in and the music and stuff like that, and Carrie's strutting and they're all strutting, it feels like Sex and the City. They look great. Their outfits look great. Their makeup looks great. I'm still getting a little bit used to Miranda's silver hair, even though I'm all about embracing silver hair. Hers is a little brassy, but anyway. Overall, amazing first 2 episodes. I am so excited for the rest of this season and series. Truly hope that we'll see Samantha one day back, maybe in season 2. That door is open, and it would be really nice for her to come back. We need to talk about Stanford really quickly. Unfortunately, the actor who plays Stanford did pass away not that long ago, a couple of months ago. But he was able to film for season 1. So I'm just also really curious how they're gonna be going about Stanford's arc and story. Because him and his husband, they do have a part in the first 2 episodes. But I am really curious to see how they're gonna wrap up Stanford's storyline. If there's, I don't know how that's gonna work out. But we shall see. I'm really excited for this series. If you guys like this video, definitely hit that like button, drop me a comment, let me know if I should do more reviews on this show. But yeah, I definitely suggest you guys go out and see this show. Go watch the show. It's on Hbomax. It comes out on Thursdays. Right now, currently, there are 2 episodes that they premiered with. And I'm not sure exactly how many episodes in total there are going to be. But I just know that I will be watching all of them. I give it a 10 out of 10. Both episodes, 10 out of 10. Oh my God, I just realized this is my 10th video. Woo! This is my 10th video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you guys being here so much. I can't believe this is my 10th video. What's gonna be the 11th? We shall see. Stay tuned. Until the next video, until the next vlog, thank you so much. Definitely hit that subscribe, definitely drop a comment.